And that's House Speaker Mike Johnson announcing the moment the House passed President Trump's big, beautiful bill earlier this morning in a vote of 215 to 214. This means the self-imposed Memorial Day deadline has been achieved, and the bill now moves on to the Senate. The bill includes permanent provisions for the 2017 Trump tax cuts. They will be extended, a boost to the child tax credit and the pass-through business deduction, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, enhanced deduction for seniors, and a $40,000 SALT cap. Money for the border, money for defense. Speaker Johnson saying this: we look forward to the Senate's timely consideration of this once-in-a-generation legislation. We are going to send that to his desk. We're going to get there by Independence Day on July 4th, says the Speaker. Joining me now is South Carolina Senator Tim Scott. Senator, it's great to see you this morning. Thanks so much for being here. What are your expectations once this big, beautiful bill arrives at the Senate?
What a great day for America. The promises that President Trump made on the campaign trail will be the promises that the Senate Republicans will keep before the 4th of July. It is wonderful news to see that, because what we know for sure, the American people deserve to keep their tax cuts. We know energy production goes up and the prices come down, and taking care of our military, such an important part of the equation. The House Republicans, thank you for delivering on President Trump's promises. Republicans in the Senate, let's get to work. This is a great day for America. I can't wait to dig into the details. We'll get it done, Maria. Now, that's the best news of all. We will get it done.
You think you'll get it done by July 4th?
I do, actually. We've been working on this for several months already on the Finance Committee. And we've spent a lot of time. Every Monday, every Thursday, we're having meetings about getting the bill done. So we know our priorities. We are harmonizing them with the House-passed legislation now. And that means we can see the end of the tunnel. And it's not a train. It's bright light.
So, Senator, the market this morning is down. The Dow is down about 215, but it's more about the bond market because interest rates have been spiking. It seems that the worry on Wall Street has gone from, uncertainty over tariffs to now uncertainty over debt and deficits. The 10-year is at 4.62% right now. That's up 2 1/3 basis points. Talk to us a bit about that and what kind of spending cuts you can identify in this bill when you get it in the Senate, because a lot of your colleagues have talked about $2 trillion in spending cuts, even more than what we saw in the House. Do you feel confident that you will be able to actually cut into the $37 trillion in debt?
I think we will, without any question. Number one, the last time we saw spending reductions in this country was 2011, when we had the BCA in 2011. We cut spending by $42 billion. That's kind of nibbling around the edges. This time, we're having a serious conversation led by Senate Republicans about ways to cut. One of the conversations we've had was going back to the pre-COVID level of spending. That would take us back to about $6.5 trillion. We won't see those levels of spending again, but the good news is when you're having that debate within the conference, it reduces spending without question. Another area where we're going to see some cuts: why in the world do we allow illegal immigrants to have Medicaid? It is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Therefore, the pledge of eliminating illegal immigrants from having Medicaid saves hundreds of billions of dollars. If you are on Medicaid, you should be able to work. If you can work, you should work. Having the restoration of work requirements saves billions of dollars. We can keep the integrity of Medicaid while putting in place work requirements and eliminating illegal immigrants from receiving Medicaid. This is just one example of ways for us to cut spending, and the bill itself grows our economic incentives, and that means we'll grow our economy. So if you can grow your economy while cutting spending, you reduce your national debt.
Yeah, this is a really important point that you make. We had Frank Bisignano on this week, the new commissioner of the Social Security Administration, and he said, look, the Social Security number is so critical. When people get a Social Security number, they can use it in all sorts of ways, and some people have used it in bad ways by applying for Medicare, applying for Medicaid, applying to vote, all this stuff, even if you're not a citizen. So how does that happen? I mean, do you have plans in place to ensure that you can actually ensure that we are going to see that kind of benefit available to American citizens only?
Absolutely. One of the beauties of Doge was Elon Musk, with his efforts, he was able to highlight absolute insanity at the Social Security Agency. What do I mean? Listen, when you're 115 years old and there's hundreds of you receiving checks in the mail, we know that's not true. If you're 300 years old, we know that's definitely not true. And so what Elon Musk has done at the direction of President Trump has exposed some of the insanity in our long-term spending. If we bring that under control, we will save money. It's really the only way to save money, is to take a look at permanent spending and reduce it.
I understand that, but Senator, you know, why wouldn't the Senate then vote to codify the foreign aid cuts that were identified by Doge in U.S. aid? I mean, I find that very odd that, you know, some of your colleagues said, no, we're not going to codify this into law.
Well, we plan to do a lot with the Doge findings. Here's one of the examples. We have something called the rescission package. It allows us to target areas that have been exposed, and if the White House sends us these rescission packages, it allows for us with a simple majority to eliminate some of the waste, fraud, and abuse exposed by Doge. Count us in for rescission packages that will save the American people even more money on top of the spending cuts you'll see because of the big, beautiful bill becoming law.
You know, it's such a disappointment that you can't get any support from your colleagues on the left. I mean, the Democrats are complaining about the Republicans morning, noon, and night, and yet we don't hear any solutions. I mean, did you have any votes, yes, from the Democrat Party for this big, beautiful bill?
Zero. Here's what we know for sure. They're playing politics. They're really more interested in making a point than making a difference. If you think about their position, they're more interested in an illegal immigrant sent to El Salvador than they are passing tax cuts for the American people. They're more interested in playing games than they are actually securing our border. President Trump has proven all you need is a steel spine to reduce illegal crossings. President Trump is proving without question that President Biden had all the tools he needed to close our southern border, and now we're going to provide the resources to finish the wall.
Yeah, and that's so important. And I want to get your take on the other big story that we've been covering this morning, Senator, and that is the anti-Semitism that just continues. Now it's come to Washington. 2 Israeli diplomats were shot and killed overnight during an event at D.C.'s Capitol Jewish Museum. The 30-year-old suspect now in custody. He was seen chanting "Free, free Palestine" while he was under arrest. Senator, this beautiful couple, he was about to propose to her, young, you know, coming out at the museum. Now they're dead. What can you do about it?
Yeah. Well, I've been working on the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act for 9 years. President Trump made it an executive order. It's time for us to get it passed. But more importantly, Maria, we have no place for hate in this country. That was an act of terrorism. We can do something about it by eliminating the vestiges of hate that we see when you're yelling "Free Palestine" and you're shooting at innocent, beautiful couple.
Unbelievable. Senator, real quick, I know you're paving the way for historic digital asset legislation, the Genius Act. You're the chairman of the Senate Banking Committee, and I want to get your take on the importance of this. What can you tell us about the Genius Act and how this will impact financial services?
Well, for single moms like the one that raised me, we're talking about reducing the price and democratizing our economy. Great news. President Trump simply said on the campaign trail, America will be the crypto capital of the world. This may be a major part of his legacy when we make it easier for the struggling Americans working paycheck to paycheck to have more access at a lower price point. Stablecoins in the Genius Act is a first step, historic step, towards making America more affordable for everyday Americans. It's another great reason this is a good day in America.
And it also feels like the banks are finally, caving on this. They didn't really want the competition, did they?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everybody hates competition when you have a monopoly. And the one thing we'll say about the banks is they came to the table. We worked constructively. There are some parts of the bill that eliminates the possibility of yield and interest. That was a key component of getting the banks to be neutral on the bill. But this bill must go forward because it's good news for the American people, especially ones living in poverty.
All right. Senator, it's great to see you. Thank you, sir. Tim Scott.